Greetings, and welcome to A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. For this project, we are using the Ivan Walters reference book of 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Each day, we watch a movie associated with the date we are watching it on. And as it is the 31st of July, we are watching The Last Emperor from 1987, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci and starring John Lone. So to start off, it was kind of hard to ignore the actual existence of this movie, especially during the production, as it is the first outside of the country production being able to actually be shot in the actual Forbidden City itself, which was a huge monumental undertaking just that alone. Also, the stacked cast of brilliant performances by all the Asian actors involved with this, also throwing in a Peter O'Toole, is definitely a reason to have seen this movie. Now, I have seen this movie before, but I vaguely remember it probably being back in the day on one of those first choice super channel equivalent to HBO at the time, and it more than likely was a pan and scan version of this movie, because from what I watched today, definitely is a much wider scope than what you would have been able to get in a square screen compared to a rectangular. And like I'd already mentioned, not only does this movie star John Lone, but it also stars Joan Chen, Peter O'Toole, Ying Raoxing, Victor Wong, Dennis Dunn, Ryoshi Sakamoto, and Maggie Han. In this account of the life of Pu Yi, played by John Lone, the last emperor of China, followed the leader's tumultuous reign after being captured by the Red Army as a war criminal in 1950. Pu Yi recalls his childhood from prison. He remembers his lavish youth in the Forbidden City, where he was afforded every luxury, but unfortunately sheltered from the outside world and complex political situations surrounding him. And as the revolution swept through China, the world of Pu Yi as revolution sweeps through China, the world Pu Yi knew is dramatically upended. Now, this is a hugely epic movie to be witnessing. The runtime is definitely a daunting one, but it is definitely worth the actual course of the entire movie. We have not only visually is this movie stunning to watch, not only are we seeing for the first time a lot of locations and buildings and interiors that were like unseen by anyone outside of China to begin with at the time. It's just a stunning movie to see. Costumes are immaculately gorgeous. All the opulence and riches being shown in the set decoration and the costume design. We have a fantastic cast of Asian actors that a lot of these faces are very familiar, and one of the interesting things about this movie is it is actually all done in English, which is kind of I guess at that length of a movie, a very thankful thing for an American audience to be witnessing at the time. But it's kind of interesting how all other languages are in the native and all that. There is a point almost like 2/3 into this movie when we hear someone speaking something other than English, and when they speak it, it's then translated, and through the translation we find out that they are speaking Japanese, which is kind of an interesting thing. So from that point of view, we are witnessing this movie in its Chinese language as it's been translated into English for our ears to hear, which is kind of interesting. A little later on, there are Russians that are speaking Russian, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. My question about this situation is when they bring Peter O'Toole in as a teacher of sorts when he's a young man, that he is there to teach him Western giving him maths and histories and English as well, so that he becomes fluent in it. So my question is, are the Peter O'Toole scenes actually in Chinese and we're hearing in the translated Chinese, or are they actually speaking English at the time when Peter O'Toole is speaking? But anyways, that being said, it is a spectacular movie. Our main storyline is told from Puyi's imprisonment as he goes through his whole entire prison sentence. Throughout that timeline, we then jump back to periods in his life as a child, as an adolescent, a young man, and then like an older adult and all that sort of thing. Once we hit the adult section of this movie becomes very horny for a lot of sequences and all that sort of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just interesting to see how much of a sexual vibe the movie has at certain points. And again, it's just a fascinating thing to see. Again, a lot of faces are very familiar. I had made a comment that a good portion of the cast of Big Trouble in Little China are in this movie, which is kind of interesting to see them in a different setting, which is kind of cool how they're all together but playing completely different characters. But anyways, just a fantastic movie from start to finish. It kept me involved for the whole entire length of this movie. So it's on July 31st, 1950, when Puyi is turned over to the Chinese, where he gets put into their prison system. And that happens actually at not only 2 minutes, but at 20 minutes into this 2 hour and 43-minute movie. And when it came to the Academy Awards that particular season, it actually ended up winning for Best Picture, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Director, Best Film Editing, Best Music/Original Score, Best Sound, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Sorry about this, but I just realized that was basically everything that it was nominated for it actually ended up winning, which is a very big rarity, especially with that long list. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this particular episode. Look off into the future to see what we're going to be watching for tomorrow, which is going to be the August 1st movie, and that is going to be The Pianist from 2002. So until next time, go see a movie.